So welcome everybody back to Fucked Up Fables. We have already pre-gamed because we're here for part 2 that was not intentional. This was not supposed to be a two-parter for Phantom of the Opera, but we got completely sidetracked for like 45 minutes, I think, when we talked about the chandelier drop.
I like a little longer than that.
Yeah,
I just edited it out.
I was gonna say an hour, but then I was like, maybe it wasn't actually an hour. But when I was listening to it, I was like, oh yeah, like we were good up until the chandelier drop, and then it just completely. So yeah, we went through. Well, okay, let me see if I can recap part 1. We talked about
Is there really? Do we need to I mean, it's.
Yes.
I can just throw it up in the cards. I'm sorry, guys. I'm half a bottle in already.
Yeah, my drunken mind recap.
It's not even March. I can throw it up in the cards, but I guess we could. I don't know. There's a lot that happened up to the shit, which is why I'm like, remember how long it took me to sort of recap it? 20 minutes?
I'm sorry. We learned that back in the day, ballerinas were kind of prostitutes. That was a thing. Did not know that. We learned that our what am I gonna say? We learned that the author was a gambler.
Lost all of his money, and then a journalist.
Yeah. He really liked.
I think I'll just say, go back and watch part 1 if you haven't already. It will be up in the cards and linked in the description. Listen for about 45 minutes till we hit the chandelier, and then you can just tune out and come here.
Anyways, so Phantom Part 2. Are we taking it away from the chandelier drops and doesn't kill anybody, but in real life it did actually kill somebody?
No, it killed people in the book.
Oh, did it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it killed
the musical?
It did not kill anybody in the musical. So it comes crashing down. I actually went back and rewatched the scene because I guess I should say I apologize for last episode because I was studying for this certification for work. I was nowhere near as prepared, so I was like, I don't know when this falls. I don't exactly know when this happens. So I went back and watched the chandelier scene in the musical. And in the musical, it happens. So they sing Don Juan triumphant, and she rips his mask off on stage, and he grabs her and then cuts the rope that opens the trap door below them, and they fall down. And the chandelier then comes, that rope was holding the chandelier up, and the chandelier comes crashing down. Everyone dives off stage to Galloway, and it hits the stage. It doesn't actually hit the seats. But in the book, this happens during the croak scene. Yeah, it happens during the croak scene where Carlotta has the throat issue, and at the end it comes crashing down, but it's hanging over people, and it kills someone and injures many. So
I would like to point out that every time I deal with Phantom of the Opera and they talk about Carlotta, I always go back to music class when we learn about the fermata, because that stupid song Carlotta Fermata says hold it, and just that whole, that's what I always think every time they talk about Carlotta. I'm just like, Carlotta Fermata says hold it. You see Carlotta, you know what to do. Every time. But anyways, so wait, okay, so that happens to the musical. Is that before or after? Because I have to ask because the song was stuck in my head. Masquerade, is it before or after Masquerade? Because I don't remember now.
Oh, it's way after. So I'm specific to the movie because in the play, the drop happens at different times depending on the production. But typically, so in the song Masquerade, one of the lines is to the new chandelier. Typically, the drop happens before that because that's what they're talking about. The chandelier crashed. They got a new one. And fun story, the chandelier crashing is intermission. So
it was kind of a perfect place for us to stop in last week.
It worked out really well. But in the 2004 movie that I keep referencing, which Gerard Butler.
I mean, let's be real, it's the only movie anyone cares about other than the silent film. Those are the only two you need to watch.
Age, probably. But the song Masquerade happens earlier in the show, in the movie, and they say to the new chandelier and show the chandelier, which makes you think, oh, they just bought a new chandelier, which then the Phantom destroys. But in the actual stage production, that I get moving things around because that's what the musicals do. They took it to another level and sort of like restructured a story point. But
Yeah, because isn't that like the second or the third song in the musicals Masquerade? It's like real early on, isn't it?
we'll find out.
Oh God. I don't necessarily like I want to know the answer because I need to know the answer, but I also don't because just so everyone's aware, this song was stuck in my
So
head for 3 fucking days. We didn't even talk about this song and it was stuck in my head.
yeah, so it starts off, you have the theme song, there's no words. The actual first singing song is All I Ask of You, the music of the night. That's not right.
Yeah, this is right. Music of the Night is later.
Here, okay, I found it. Okay, so prologue, overture, Think of Me, Angel of Music, Coralani, Phantom of the Opera, the music of the night,
Oh, is it?
I
Okay.
Remember, Magical Lasso, Prima Donna, Poor Fools. So Masquerade is the first song of the intermission on the stage play. So let me actually look up the movie.
I'm like, wait a second. I swear this was like really early on in the music.
It is. Well, it is definitely the first song in the stage play because like it comes crashing down, you have intermission,
Right,
and then
and
it
then
starts Masquerade.
yeah.
In the movie, it happens. It's actually very late. It happens after All I Ask of You.
Oh, well shit, why did I think it happened so early?
So it's kind of funny. So you don't know anything about this darn chandelier until the 10th song in the movie. And then literally the point of no return and Down Once More. Down Once More is 2 songs later. So the Phantom comes on stage and Don Juan triumphant. They sing the point of no return, and it's at the end of that song when she rips his mask off that he crashes it. So you literally get this new chandelier 2 songs later. It's gone.
I don't know why I thought this happened way earlier in the movie. Why did I think it happened so early?
You've seen it in person though, haven't you?
No.
No.
No. Oh, you know what it is? So in my choir
Because it
days,
starts broken.
no, in my choir days when we had to do the worst possible medley ever because it was Andrew Lloyd Webber medley, the very first song was Masquerade, which is probably why I hate him so much because as a first soprano, when your first song and opening notes are the opening notes to Masquerade, fuck that. Fuck that.
Still one of my all-time favorite songs. I love the
There is
lyrics. I
there
love
is
the way it
no lead up
sounds.
to it. You open up the cover page and it's just right there. Like what the fuck is that? An F or whatever the hell it is that you're supposed to hit? Just like boom right there. No.
I
Fuck.
might throw in a clip of Masquerade here just for the hell of it.
Paper
So,
face.
anyway, that's our recap. I'm proud to say I do have notes today to keep us on track.
I'm proud of you having notes. I'm gonna be pretty
But,
dumb, so we got
but, so I started writing this, and so like the next chapter we start on is actually called Masquerade. And so it's either the Masquerade or the Masked Ball. Probably Masquerade. Now you do that side look, and I'm like, am I right?
I don't believe that it has to like why? Why is this my life? Why?
Oh, sorry. It's called At the Masked Ball. I wrote it wrong on my notes. So we made it to chapter 9 last time. Just to let you know, there's 26 chapters and an epilogue. So, because of that, I had to start condensing things. So I started to be very detailed in this section. And then I gloss over quite a bit to get to the end because let's be reasonable. The end is what we're all interested in, I think. So, the chandelier came crashing down, and brings Phantom's kill count to, I think, 2 that we know of at that point, but there was suspected.
Wait, let's see. There was the person that was hung. The person that they found like hanging from the rafters.
Yep.
Didn't he strangle somebody
Later.
as well? Oh, that's later? Okay. So yeah, I guess maybe there's only 2 so far.
So in the movie, kill count is 1. In the book, kill count is 2, to my knowledge. Like, there's 2 confirmed, I should say. There's hints at other things, but... So, after the chandelier drops, Christine goes missing.
Yay. Again?
She's always missing.
Wasn't she... Because this is the... Because she was missing for that 2-week period, which led up to...
5 days. No, the first time was 5 days. I forget how long she's gone. Either way, she's missing again. So, she was on stage. The Carlotta thing happens. And the lights, like, everything crashes. And then she just disappears. No one knows where she is. Yeah. Let's just... She disappears a lot. A lot.
She's a damsel in distress. But, like, actually a damsel in distress.
Right. So, she's gone. Raoul saw her disappear, and he's freaking out and devastated. But then the next chapter opens up with him getting a note covered in mud from Christine saying, "Be at the masked ball dressed as this thing, and I will be there too, dressed as a domino." I meant to Google what that meant, because all I'm imagining is a domino piece.
Let's find out. To Google, dressed as a domino.
And you're going to get domino pieces.
Oh, okay. So a classic domino is, in fact, a historical fancy dress. Okay, hold on. Let me look up what this is.
Oh!
It's a type of dress, apparently.
So if this is correct...
So I'm looking at this dress, right? This picture that came with it.
Is this what you're looking at?
Yes. So I'm looking at a picture. It is for me to describe this picture that I will send to you, so you can like add it somewhere on the screen.
I also found a Versailles version.
It looks
like robe.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like priest's robe. Like it's like the black robe, and it has like that black like cape thing over it. Well, this is
like a monk robe. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's like has her hair with like the little hat thingy that monks would wear.
And then a plain black mask.
Yeah, and then a plain black mask. Yes. So apparently it was a specific type of dress that was worn with capes and a large hood and long sleeves. So
it's very nondescript.
Yeah.
So and yeah, I can put a picture up. So Christine comes dressed as a domino, and Raoul arrives at the party at this masquerade, and Christine like walks by. He doesn't know it's Christine. She like brushes his arm. He's like, "Oh, that must be her." And they go like sneak away from the. Wait,
time out. How does he not know that it's her? Were there other people dressed as a domino?
Maybe it's a masked ball.
Okay, and I guess maybe it was a popular, like it had a name. I guess it had to have been popular.
So I don't know. So they go off to the side, and Raoul's hopes are reignited because she wanted to meet with him secretly. Because like his hopes are constantly being dashed and reignited, constantly, just this back and forth sort of thing. Oh, he's a pansy.
He's
I don't mean it because of his emotions, but he cries a lot. So
he's emotional. Don't hate on his baby.
He's trying to follow her when he notices this gathered crowd of people in the ballroom, and they're gathered around a person dressed as the Red Death. And I'm not sure if anybody listening is familiar with the Red Death, but it is a story. It's not Edgar Allan Poe, is it? It could be Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Mask of the Red Death is what it's called.
Which actually, if my memory serves me correctly, is perfect for pandemic life because there's essentially a plague called the Red Death going around, and people aren't supposed to be gathering and having parties, but this one person decides to continue having their ball anyway. Red Death be damned. I think they even don't
Yep.
believe it exists, and it sneaks
Yeah.
into the party and kills everybody. And I remember I've seen like movies or short videos of people reenacting this. Sometimes it's a red cloud that comes through and people are too drunk to notice it and it kills them. But the way they do it in Phantom is another version that I've seen that I really like, where it's a person dressed up as a masquerade because the Red Death happens at a masquerade. It's a person dressed up as the Red Death, typically wearing a red coat, and he arrives and people die. So the Phantom arrives at the masked
I
ball.
would just like
What?
as the Red Death. I would just like to say that probably the film you're thinking of is the beautiful, fantabulous Vincent Price, who did this movie in the 60s. And so remember how I had you guys look up like Santa Claus versus the devil or whatever
Yes!
pictures? So that's kind of what they make the Red Death look like. Like it's this guy with like red face paint, and then he has like a red executioner's outfit, but the paint and the outfit don't match. Like they're not the same shade of red.
That is not what I'm remembering. What I'm remembering is closer to the Phantom. So there was this thing that we watched in grade school, and it may be horrifying to people now, but there was a lot of Edgar Allan Poe stories that they made into little shorts. Like one was the pendulum, and like we saw somebody sliced in half in grade school back then. Like, yay! Like which may not seem like a big deal now, but back then it was kind of a big deal. But also that was this Red Death one, and they looked like every other sort of costume except they were red, and that was the surprising thing. But anyway, so the Phantom joins. What?
I say this scene, you need to put that picture I sent of the picture of the Phantom dressed as the Red Death walking down the stairs, and he looks like Red Skull.
All right, circling back. You've had too much liquor. We're only at the beginning. I'm on page 1.
Oh, we're talking about a hilarious moment in this book, okay? This is just a hilarious moment in the book. Like he's dressed as a plague, she's dressed as a black priest. Like, come on.
But I love it in the musical though, because his outfit is amazing. Anyway, so
he doesn't dress that way in the musical, does he? He's not.
He dresses as the Red Death.
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember this for some reason. I don't remember what he looks like. I literally cannot picture Gerard Butler in this scene. Like, I have no idea what he looks like, apparently. What? Okay, I have to Google it because I can't see your screen.
I know, but it shows up when I record it, so I can just...
Gerard Butler, Phantom, Red. Let me... I don't know if this is going to come up.
He's literally he's got the Phantom mask on in this. So... the movie doesn't do it justice. So it's literally just the Phantom wearing a, like, slightly gorier mask, wearing a red coat. But in the musical, it's actually, he's wearing, like, 1780 style men's jacket in red, and he has a skull mask on, like an actual skull, and then, like, the hat with the plumes. So, like, it's done differently. I think they just really wanted Gerard Butler to still look like Gerard Butler.
Because, like, in the musical, based on this picture, because I don't remember him wearing this, he looks like a matador.
He looks like
a matador. He looks like the bull.
He's still sexy. He's still sexy. Anyways,
Pat, moving on. All right.
Bring it back. We're halfway through page 1.
They're at the masquerade. Gerard Butler enters.
So as he's following this girl that he's not certain is Christine, but it's Christine, into the ballroom, there's a crowd of people around this guy dressed as the Red Death. And as he like walks by, they lock eyes, and he's like, "Oh my god, that's the opera ghost," and he recognized me.
What? How does he know it's him?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Because then he leaves, and like that's it. Like he wants to go. Well, actually, so he wants to go like turn and get the opera ghost, but Christina's like no, and holds him back, and he's just like. What's really funny though is like Eric, the Phantom, being the Phantom and melodramatic, he's there, and a lady tries to touch his outfit, and he grabs her by the wrist and goes, "No, you can't touch me. I am the Red Death. That would be murderous or suicide." I'm just like, well, okay. Anyway, so
So extra.
anyway, so Christine and Raoul wind up in a little nook somewhere away from where the Phantom can see, and it's confirmed it's Christine. It's not the Phantom dressed up as a woman pretending to be, like to drag him away and murder him. And
that would be a plot twist.
and they have a little discussion about feelings, and Raoul's trying to say like, "Oh, you've got to tell me your story," and she gets terrified. She's like, "It's not a story, it's a tragedy." And she's like, dark circles apparently suddenly form around her eyes, and he just demands it, and then she refuses and starts to leave. He follows her to her room, by the way, and
to the dressing room.
yeah, so like she walks away after she's like, "It's a tragedy, it's just too much." She like turns to leave, and he's like, "No, don't go." And she keeps going, and she doesn't seem to know that he's following her, and she goes back to her dressing room because that's like her room, and closes the door. And so he goes up to the door. So they've left the masked ball. He goes to her door. He knocks on the door. No one answers. So he opens the door and just goes inside her dressing room, something he just saw her go into, sees she's sitting at a desk writing furiously, and so he hides. He hides and watches her write. Yeah. And he does
But
it.
like, how did he not know?
She was absorbed in her work. Also, she probably is drugged at this point. But so he watches her, and I don't know for how long because it says that she writes pages and pages. This could be a long time. And then
She's writing a manifesto.
Her say, what? What?
She's writing a manifesto.
Maybe she wrote the Phantom of the Opera. Anyway, that's who gets down for So
he's the author.
Raoul being Raoul, is just listening to her and hears her mutter, "Poor Eric." And Eric is the name of the Phantom. And it makes him so upset. He is like near tears. But after a bit, they start to hear this saint singing. And it's like it's coming through the walls. And it starts to get a little stronger. And they say it's the wedding night song from Romeo and Juliet. I am not aware of what this song is. But they are specific to what song it is. And then she gets up and goes through the mirror.
Okay.
And Raoul like tears from behind whatever he was hiding, think it was a curtain, and goes to the mirror and tries furiously to figure out how to open it up. He can't figure it out, so he sits at her desk, puts his head down, and starts crying.
So I'm just going to assume that the mirror is like a one-way trap door thing, so like only the Phantom can open it.
Nah, like you get kind of how it works. Essentially, it's like a glass panel that slides down or slides to the side, and there's a way to make it happen. But there's literally a chapter called like a safety pin, and then another chapter called like a safety pin 2 or something, and that's where they figure out how to open it. So like there's a way to do it. He just doesn't know, and like he's like trying to get through and he can't. So I can just imagine him being like huffy and like stomping his feet and then turning around and slamming himself at her desk and then putting his head down, and he just bawls his eyes out.
Like, having seen the musical, all I imagine is forever that Raoul is the like live version of a Ken doll.
Who cries a lot.
And that's why.
But not in the musical.
Exactly. And he's smart, but he can't open up a door. That's what I get from this.
He is a lovesick Ken doll that he doesn't really do anything in the whole book from start to finish. Like, have you ever heard of a lamp in a movie? What that means?
Yes.
Yeah. So, women are often lamps in movies. Pretty, shiny, non-important things in a movie. I know it sounds terrible, but that's true. We have Raoul,
they're nice
who
to
is
look at.
lamp. Raoul is lamp.
A sexy lamp.
Sure. He can be a sexy lamp if
Who
he wants.
plays him in the musical? Because he's beautiful in this
Not
in the
as
musical.
sexy as Gerard Butler.
Okay, we're gonna debate that because I'm just saying.
Make your comments known. Who's sexier, Gerard Butler or the random dude that played Pretty Boy Raoul in 2004's Phantom of the Opera movie?
I don't even know what his name is. What is his name? What is his name? I just want his name.
Well, you should
Why
go to
can't I find it?
2004 Phantom.
Okay, that's too much. I ended up on Google Images, and I'm telling you right now.
Oh Lord, it's Patrick Wilson. He is not sexier than Gerard Butler. You're
Yes, he
insane.
is. With that hair, he looks like a young Tom Cruise circa the Interview with the Vampire.
Tom Cruise was never attractive. And I will die on that hill.
How dare you? How dare you?
Okay. Next
All
day.
right, so he's crying at the desk. Oh, next day. Okay, so does he fall asleep there? Is that what happens?
Next day. Next chapter, new chapter, next day. That's what I thought was going to happen. Like, I was reading it, and I was like, oh, he's going to fall asleep in a room, and she's going to come back, and things are going to get weird. No. Next day.
She goes missing again. That's what, right? Isn't that what you said earlier? She goes missing again?
She's missing again right now. When she goes through the mirror, she's missing.
Yeah, she oh wait, that was before the masquerade. What?
Okay. She went missing after the chandelier dropped. She came back for the masquerade. She's missing again because she went through the mirror and Raoul can't figure it out and he cried a lot. But the next day, he runs into Christine, who is a person that she's like nursing or whatever, and she looks refreshed. Her creepy dark circles are gone. She's vibrant. And then later the next day, he sees her again at the opera, and he's kind of like frustrated because they haven't had a conversation. So he's like, you got to talk to me. She pulls him into her dressing room, and they kiss and get engaged. To be fair, I'm glossing over a lot. There's some time in there where they actually had, like, he accused her of not loving him and cried some more, and she's like, yeah. So, they're engaged now.
Kissing, get engaged. That was just like so abrupt. They kissing, get engaged, and then the next day.
The next day. I mean, there was some making out that happened, but it's fine. It's fine.
So why
I'm glossing over the parts that are least important into the storyline.
I don't understand why she keeps bringing him to her dressing room, knowing that that's like the only.
I have an answer.
Oh,
so
okay.
You find this out later in the book. There are two places the Phantom promised not to be behind the walls in. One, her dressing room. What? I'm sorry. Let me re-quote that from the book. He will no longer be behind the walls. So there are two places. One, her dressing room, and two, her room in the Phantom's house next to the underground. It's actually on the underground lake. So she has only two private areas in the entire opera house.
/ anytime she leaves the opera house, which she never does, because why would
she never leaves the opera house?
Yeah, why would she? It's not like she needs to eat or buy stuff, you know?
I mean, being a ballerina, being a prima donna was like a 7-day job, so just saying.
I mean, yeah, having seen like what ballerinas go, they have like 18-hour days, man. That's some intense shit. No, thank you.
So that's why she's always like, no, shush, looks around and like pulls him into her room. But you don't find that out till much, much later. But yeah, so they're engaged. And she finally takes this moment to explain her story. So, after she came to the opera house after being orphaned, she was doing her normal thing when she started hearing a voice. And she thought it was like somebody in the next room practicing their singing. And she went to try and search for the person. She never found it because it's apparently a very sweet sounding voice. She never found it, but she kind of could interact with it, talk to it and sing back and forth. And this happened for 3 months, and she was convinced within this 3 months that this is the angel of music. She never forgot the promise her father made. She's like, this must be it because there's no body to this voice, and I'm talking to someone that sounds like they're surrounding me, right? So that's the angel of music. However, so I specifically wrote she happily believed it because it gave her validation, I guess, like her father remembered her past death. She happily believed it, no questions asked.
He brought the angel of music, all that.
Yeah.
But wait. I do have one question. So I'm going to assume that he sounded like a male and that she assumed that it was one of her male cohorts at the opera.
Yeah, so there are male actors, or there are male actors in the opera. There's male like stagehands that could just be singing that happen to sing well. Like,
Right. So then it brings up my question because this is where my brain goes. We know what happened, what females did that were ballerinas. Did the same thing apply to the males that were in the performances?
so I don't know specifically about the ballet, but I do know particularly in England. Remember I told you about Snatch Children, and if
Yeah.
they were actors and choir boys. We don't have any proof, or it's not well talked about, but there is the assumption that sex work did happen.
Okay, because if it happened for the females, it would make sense that it would
Correct.
also happen for the
But
males.
typically, if that's going to happen with a boy, it's much less talked about than when it happens to girls. And I mean, there's a societal thing with that right now, but there's also the potential that a lot of it was male on male relations, adult males,
Which was
male
taboo
children.
back in the day. Yeah. I don't know why my mind went there, but that I was just like, why does she assume that it has to be one of her male co-parts singing? And then I'm like, okay, so if she assumes that it's one of them, it means that they're like in the same like line of rooms. I'm imagining like a show choir, like staging area where it's like dressing rooms for everybody all
Yeah, but
together.
there could potentially be practice rooms as well, where like you can go into a sing in a room and you can kind of hear other people.
I guess
They described it as sounding like it was coming from another room, and she went from room to room trying to find it, and it never got weaker or stronger. She couldn't find it.
Okay. I didn't think about a practice room. I just assumed like other dressing rooms, which then just led me down the same path of if they're on the same like block, would the same sort of ideal apply? It's neither here nor there. Continue. I just
Oh no, it's a good question. There's a lot, like the stories need to be told about what actually happened to children back then, but that's not this particular story.
right. That's not pertinent to this. I was just it just popped into my wine-addled mind. That was all.
So 3 months passed, and she believes that this is the angel of music when one day she's in her dressing room and she goes up to the mirror, probably because the sound's coming from there, and she's able to go through it. And she goes through the mirror, and there's a hand reaching out to her that smelt of death. Is the exact quote. This hand smells of death.
That?
Yeah.
Girl.
And she takes the hand and goes with him. She said that she specifically said she never fought, never thought to fight, never thought to run away because she thinks she may have been drugged at the time. She's not certain.
Which makes sense. We talked about potentially that fog smoke stuff being like a drug that kind of
In the musical, the moment she goes through the mirror is portrayed to be her first time going through the mirror because
Yeah.
she looks very dazed. You see all these weird like actual hands holding candlesticks when they're not actually hands. Because you see later in the movie they're actually just a fixture on the wall. But like you have
The
this whole
weird
sort
ass
of dream sequence.
scene.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that has happened. Like she goes through the mirror so many times in the book, but this is her first time.
Yeah.
She takes the hand and she's led through all these halls and mazes. She gets on that horse that you hate in the
Keep
musical.
talking about this fucking horse in
It's
the
the
musical.
this horse is stolen from the stables. It went missing. Well, she found. I mean, I don't think she got on it, but it's there. So he essentially leads her down into the caverns where there's a lake, and on the lake, they specifically say on the lake is a house, and that's the Phantom's house. And she actually just faints, like in the musical. In the musical, she faints. She faints, and she wakes up to him like putting water over her head, to try and wake her up. This is why I say potential rape because it's just a little weird. Like, he's in love with her, she faints. I'm just saying the potential is there. So when
Right.
she
They don't
comes
say
to
anything, but it can kind of maybe be inferred. Yeah.
the way it's written, like made the hairs stand up a little on my arms. Like, oh, this is
Yeah.
kind of
They
sleazy.
can see that icky feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So she wakes up and she is pissed. She is so freaking pissed because she knows that that wasn't the angel of music this whole time. It's the Phantom. This guy. She didn't call him Phantom, but it's this guy. It's been a person this whole time, and he made her believe that he was an angel, and she believed it, and she's mad at herself, and she's mad at him. So this book, from the time it starts, she's actually not this naive person who believes that the Phantom is the angel of music, even though she sort of like tells Raoul that and writes it off as that because it was easier. And she's terrified of
Yeah.
the Phantom. So if she's like, oh, it's just the angel of music, no one's going to believe her, and it keeps her safe. But she's pissed. So he keeps her down there for 5 days. That's where the 5 days one comes from. But she's
Okay.
too. When she comes to, she no longer feels drugged because now she's angry. She can feel again, right? But her fear keeps her from running because she's like in this dark, cavernous place. She doesn't know where she is. There's this weird guy here, and she's terrified and pissed. So she
Important.
she gets to know him a little bit and she winds up pitying him, which cools her anger. She doesn't hate him. And she's just like, when do I get to go? And he's like,
No, girl.
in 5 days, essentially, she can go. Well, there's this moment down there where she tears off his mask, which is just like the movie. Like, if that's her first time going down there and she tears off his mask. He freaks out, starts shouting at her, literally grabs her by the hair and like twists her around to make her look him in the face when she tries to like shy away. Remember, his face is supposed to look like a skull with yellow eyes, and you're in the dark with
No,
candles,
no.
terrified. Yeah,
Right.
and so he's like
It's Voldemort
manhandles
style
her and
going on
whips
here.
her around. But he does, this all happens, and then he lets her go after 5 days, and she's back up to the surface in her dressing room, and that's that. She had to just promise to come back. so, so
Wow.
that's
Wow.
what happened for her to get entangled with the opera ghost, and this is why she keeps going to visit because she's terrified that she's seen him murder. She knows he murders. She specifically says later that he would murder for me. So she's terrified of him. So
Right.
she's appeasing him the best way that she can. And then Raoul comes along and complicates shit. Huh?
I mean, it makes sense from where she's at. Like this is. Yeah. My turn of thought ended.
Who?
She's just trying to like appease him. Like
Yeah.
she's trying to appease him. She's like, I don't
Keep
want
him
more
calm so
people
he
to
doesn't
die.
hurt anyone else.
Yeah, like she's like, I don't want more people to die because of me. So he's not harming anyone if I like do what he says. So if I just continue to do this, the things run smoothly. Like nothing bad
Right.
happens. She just
Right.
disappears from time to time.
Yeah, she disappears for days, couple weeks. But during these disappearances where she thinks she may or may not be drugged, there's that potential for rape again that I'm theorizing.
Just
But
saying,
yeah, so that's how it was going until Ral came along, and Ral realized she was being super weird, and she was like, "Oh, angel music," and then he's like finally forcing it out of her, and he's like, "Oh, you're not batshit crazy. Okay, we got this."
you don't need to be locked up in an asylum. All right, let's get hitched. Let's do it.
Yes, I would like to point out that I'm pretty sure they got engaged first before he found out she wasn't crazy. So
He's a true good guy right there. He's like, I don't care
right.
if you're creepy.
And then I think it's important to point out that every time she visits the Phantom, she gets more afraid. So she's literally living in constant terror.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what exactly he does beyond drugging her to make her that terrified each time. Like, I feel like there has to be something more that goes on than just her being
Not
creepy.
letting, yeah, what's happening. They never allude to what it is.
Yeah,
But also,
there has to be something.
yeah, and also during this Raoul, so we're back to the present. She told her story. During this exchange, the Phantom had given her a gold ring that she wore as a wedding ring, which the Phantom said, never ever take this off. It'll keep me from hurting you, essentially, something like that. So after they're having their fun, like Raoul and Christine, she notices that this ring is missing, and she starts to freak out because the Phantom's going to notice. And
Why
Raoul's just
is it a ring again? Didn't we had this with that
had
fair?
ring in the story.
Why?
So Raoul's like, dude, it's fine. Let's just run away together. And so they have a plan to meet the next day. And the language is a little weird, but I'm pretty sure that they meant that they're going to try to run away run away with each other.
Like
Potentially.
leave the opera house like entirely. So well,
Yeah.
he's like a comte, so he's like rich and shit. So like he has
Yeah.
the means.
And he's like, why can't we run away now? And she's like, we can't. The Phantom would not. It's weird. It's a weird exchange of words because like Raoul's mad that they're running away from like confronting the Phantom, and then she has a sentence in there that says like, you'll have to make me run away with you. So I'm like, I think in there is a promise from either way, doesn't matter, because Raoul promised to meet her at 12 the next day.
Okay.
During the day, it comes out in the paper that Raoul is engaged to Christine, and Raoul's brother Philippe, Raoul's older brother Philippe, is pissed. He's like, "You're insane. You're infatuated with this opera girl, and it's driving you to do crazy shit. You need to not do this."
I wonder who was eavesdropping that leaked it to the press that he was getting engaged to some opera
Maybe it was an
singer.
engagement announcement because Raoul has very poor impulse control.
True, but I feel like he would know what that would do
That's true.
to
It
his
may have
image.
caused a problem now that I think about it. But either way, it came out. And I mean, there could be anybody hiding around the corner.
Right, I was gonna say, like, obviously the Phantom has his ways. I'm sure anyone could eavesdrop. It's not like they were being discreet. They were in her fucking dressing room. Like,
Well, the Phantom is the trapdoor lover. So I figured out what tune that keeps getting stuck in my head. There's this song called Backdoor Lover, and I believe, yeah, and I killed Dinky Doo. I believe it's from the live action Josie and the Pussycats movie. The band that like disappears at the beginning, their hit song was Backdoor Lover, and it just
okay, I gotta Google it. Backdoor. Okay, I'm gonna get some weird shit because of what it is.
at least what's gonna be really funny is if I look up later and it's not actually called Backdoor Lover, and that's
It
just what I
is.
thought it was this whole time because That movie came out in like 2001.
Yes, it's Josie and the Pussycats 2001. The song is called Backdoor Lover. This love is kind of wrong, but you know it feels so right. Running my hands across your cheeks. They're oh so smooth and white. Okay, I'm
What cheeks? You know it's the back cheeks. The hiney cheeks. Because it's Backdoor Lover. You guys, look at this. Remember how March is fucked up month? This is 3/4 of a bottle of wine, and we are halfway there at an hour and 24 minutes.
halfway. Okay, it's more like 2 hours because it took us half an hour to get started because of technical difficulties.
It's true. That's true. So let's pretend like we're in The Sims 4, and they do that when they're an actor.
Yeah, I know. And then after they do their scene, they just like shake it off, and they're like, okay.
Love it.
Me too.
All right. Hold on. Bubbles. Okay, we're good.
It's okay. I thought I was gonna have the hiccups, which is something that my dad has when he drinks a lot, and I have also noticed that I get the hiccups when I drink a lot too. Haven't quite gotten to the hiccups, but I thought we were there earlier.
Awesome. Cool.
So
back to the trapdoor lover.
Backdoor. He's a backdoor. It's officially changed. Backdoor lover.
It's got to be trapdoor lover for this, but it's to the tune of backdoor lover. Marriage is announced in the paper. Marriage is announced in the paper. That night, Christine sings on stage. Lights go dark, and when they come back on, she's gone.
Poof!
She's gone again. By the way, if I was her employer, I'd be pissed. This lady disappears all the fucking time. Just saying.
But I mean, she did her part, so like at least she didn't disappear during her scene.
She has more to do.
Well, true.
Yeah.
That's what they have Carlotta for. Carlotta's the backup person now. Come on now.
So, that's not a good use of your mini driver. If you know the 2004 movie. Alright, so Christine's gone again. So long story short, Ralph freaks out, wants to find her, knows the Phantom has her, goes straight to the dressing room and starts trying to figure out how to open the mirror. Can't figure it out. Shit happens. They figure it out.
This is where that pin part 1 and part 2 safety pin chapters come in.
Yeah, so like, hold on. Let me make sure I've got that title right, because I think it's really... Yeah, chapter 14, the safety pin doesn't work. Chapter 17, the safety pin again. It works.
I want to know why it's called the safety pin.
I don't know for certain because I literally skimmed over it because I didn't care. But I think they use a safety pin to like hit a button that opens the mirror, but that's just me speculating.
I definitely don't remember. It's okay. I remember like Masquerade and then the ending. Like I don't remember any of this stuff in between apparently because
this isn't.
I don't remember them getting engaged. Yeah, well, I don't remember them getting engaged at all in the book. So apparently I like jump a large portion in the book. So, I don't remember this.
At this point in the movie, so the chandelier crashed. They have the masquerade scene. I should say movie / musical because it's kind of the same. They have the masquerade scene. Christine and Raoul are going to get engaged. Find that out during the masquerade scene in the movie, but it happens at a different point in the musical. They're engaged.
I literally don't remember them ever getting engaged. Like,
yeah, so like in the movie in Masquerade, they take these spoken lines and make them sung lines. And it's a moment where they're like, let's not argue, let's pretend, you will understand in time. It's like in that section. I just can't remember the lyrics. Oh, they say something like yeah, I don't remember. But
if it's part of the scene,
then the Red Death happens.
I only remember.
Huh?
I I said if them getting engaged in the musical is part of the song, I literally just remember the opening lines of Masquerade. I don't remember the rest of what happens.
So hold on. I'm gonna
Please
look it up.
stop! Paper Face is on parade. Hide your face so the world will never find you. Every face in a parade.
So
I don't remember
I have
the
to
rest
look
of
at the song lineup to remind myself here. I believe in the musical, in All I Ask of You, that's where they get engaged. But in the movie, it's at Masquerade. And then actually, because it's actually a sung line that's spoken in the movie because Christine's like, a secret engagement. Yeah, so.
Wait, I thought All I Ask of You, isn't that when they're at the graveyard? Is that All I Ask of You? When
That
the
is All
snowy
I Ask
graveyard?
of You, the worst song in the entire thing. So anyway.
Is that the snowy graveyard scene?
Huh?
I said,
Okay,
is All
so I
I
think we're getting a little off track. So I just want to so in the book, Christine performed. She disappeared. Ralph figures out a way. He doesn't. He gets help to do it to get through the mirror. That's where we're at. Technically, in the scene where the mob goes under for Christine, I think this is the best way to line it up instead of filling out the in between. This scene in the book technically happens in the musical/movie after the chandelier crash. So, like I said earlier, you have the Phantom. They put on the Phantom's musical called Don Juan Triumphant, where he's the lead. Christine rips his mask off on stage. He grabs her, cuts a rope, chandelier crashes, sets the whole opera house on fire. They go through a trap door, which takes them to the maze to get downstairs. And Raoul somehow knows how to get down there and charges after him. And a mob is going to get the Phantom. So that moment is what we're doing here in the book now. But it's just at very different moments, which I get because if you put all the shit from the book into the musical, it would be one long, boring ass musical.
I mean, that's why, we're going to get to it because we're going to get to the ending of it, but that's why they changed the ending in the silent film and all subsequent films after it, because the book ending is anticlimactic.
So I like most of the ending better, except the very end. So we'll get there. So anyway, so that's aligning the two together, which is what I wanted to do, sort of compare and contrast.
You're welcome.
The duel that happens between the Phantom and I think Raoul doesn't happen in the book at all. Christine's always like, nah, don't fight him.
Yeah.
But drama, it's put in there for the musical. So anyway, Raoul and a gang of people make it through the mirror with the help of the Persian. He's there. The Persian is this character that is not in the musical. He is this guy that saved, I think we mentioned this in part 1. He met the Phantom in his home country, and the Phantom was going to be hanged for some crime, and he was able to free the Phantom, and they escaped the country together. And then they split ways when they were in the country. That's all that we know, really, of the Persian at the moment. So, anyway, so Raoul and the Persian are the only two people that are important in this mob. It's just a group of other people. Some of them have names. So that's why I say this book introduces a lot of characters. It's a lot. But then they're just gone. So they start to go down through these tunnels. Eventually it boils down to it only being the Persian and Raoul. They find one of the dead actors. I think it's the lead singer, the male lead singer. He's dead down there. Most of the group stays because they're freaking out because, a dead body. So that's kill count. Strangled, that's kill count 3. He's strangled, by the way, I believe. So
he is officially a serial killer.
Yeah, so that's 3 in the book, confirmed. In the movie at this point, it's 2, because the lead singer also gets killed before Don Juan Triumphant. And then you have the lasso guy from the beginning. So yeah, so we're up to 3. And then people just sort of get lost in the darkness. So it winds up being just Raoul and the Persian. So this is the big build up climactic moment. You're really far in the book at this point. It's somewhere around here. So you wasted all this time all these pages to just talk about Christina Rao, which for me is the least important part. But I like the book. I shouldn't be.
Not a waste. How dare you? Poor Raoul. He doesn't deserve that. Kindle, baby. I love him. I don't care.
Like I said, he is lamp in this. He doesn't. I'll let you make your own conclusion. He doesn't seem to do anything. So Rao and the Persian, they navigate their way down these tunnels. There's a ton of traps, but the Persian, knowing the Phantom, knows sort of how to work his way around them. Randomly enough, I don't know why this is in here. They run across a rat catcher, and the rat catcher's like, "Dude, let me pass! I'm a rat catcher!" And they're like, oh, "Okay," and then that's it.
He's the guy who sells rats during the opera, like in intermission. He's like,
rats during the opera.
Real rat. Do you not know that was like a thing that we're talking France? You know, that's what is the movie where they talk about they make fun of the revolutionary France shit, and that's like the running. Yeah, that Les Mis era, but there's like a movie that makes fun of it. I don't remember what it is now, but that's like one of the scenes in the movie, and they talk about them selling the rats because the plague was happening, so like they didn't have anything else other than rats to eat.
All right, so this is not during the plague.
He's selling rats.
But the way I actually imagine it, so that's my funny way of telling it. But the way I actually imagine it is they're walking down this dark tunnel, and all of a sudden they see a light in the distance and seeing closer and closer, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's the Phantom! It's got to be the Phantom! Who else is going to be down here?" And then there's this guy that comes around the corner, and he's like, "Rat catcher! I'm just the rat catcher! Let me pass!" And they're like, "Okay, go on, guy."
Like, I can imagine it would be like if we were going like scene for scene in like a movie, they would see the light and they would play the Phantom song, so it'd be like dun, 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 like, and you'd just be like, oh, it's the Phantom, it's his song, and then it's just like rat catcher,
screech, like the record being ripped off.
Skips.
Anyway,
Phantom of the Opera. It would be beautiful.
Back. This is so hard to do. All right. Anyway. So I made a note here to make sure that I say if you want more detail on their journey through the tunnel, go to the book. There's just too much, and I don't want this to be a 5-hour podcast. We're already probably gonna be close to 3 once we're done with this one, like total part 1 and 2. So go to the book. Anyway, chapter 21 now. So they go down, Ratcatcher, chapter 21.
We jumped. We went from chapter 9 to chapter 21. Holy shit.
Because I condensed and I'm good at it. I gave you a rundown of what I am when I drink. No surprises.
Whoa, this is gonna be rough.
Chapter 21. March is gonna be so much fun. Everybody's probably gonna hate it. Anyway, chapter 21. We now shift to the Persian's point of view. Remember, this book is written as the author, Gaston Leroux, is interviewing people, particularly the Persian, so like he's got letters and stuff, piecing the story together, and he's actually interviewing the real Persian in this. Totally real, factual guy that actually existed. Persian.
His name really was the Persian. True fact.
Yeah. The Phantom calls him by another name, but it's lowercase, so it's not his name. I don't know. But anyway, so in the footnote, Gaston Leroux will explain how totally accurate and true this is. But anyway, chapter 21, we shift to the Persian's point of view because Gaston Leroux spoke to the Persian and wrote it down verbatim, exactly what happened. Even though we switched point of views during it, it's weird. Anyway.
It's word for word, it's the word of truth from the Persian's mouth.
So, I have an arrow. Why do I have an arrow?
I don't know.
Anyway, okay, so it starts off giving background on how the Persian knows the Phantom, which is why I've already glossed over it a lot. So remember how I said they split ways when they got, I guess, to Europe? Well, he did find out that Eric was living in the opera house, and he lived in terror of Eric's, quote, horrible fancies when he learned that he lived in the opera house. So he knew Eric is kind of deranged, and when you read the book, like, he is so ingrained in music in a way that music sort of imitates life. Like, music is life. If you kill music, you kill a person. You know, like, it's very odd how it's described. He's not stable. He murders a lot, obviously, but the Persian who spent quite a bit of time with him knows that he's not stable. So when he found out he was at the opera house, he's terrified. So from his point of view, and it also goes over his point of view of the Christine Phantom situation. He visited the Phantom often, which is why he knew a lot of the tricks. And he was there when Christine would visit, and he would talk to the Phantom about Christine. Spoiler, he was not okay with it. He did not think what the Phantom was doing was healthy for Christine. He
did not approve of the drugging of Christine and or date raping of Christine. Got it.
He also was horrified that the Phantom was 100% convinced that Christine loved him and that it would all end in marriage eventually. Like, he was there for
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so it gives you the
what
backstory.
else would come?
Yeah. So it gives you the backstory, and then it loops back to current point of view, or at least current for the story point of view, where Raoul and the Persian stumble upon. That whole camera just went. Hold on. 141. It's written down.
I did air quotes and then dropped my hand and I hit my laptop.
At least we both.
It hurt. Thank you, St. James and Grafton.
A single bottle of wine.
This was not the intention.
But it makes me feel
wow, good. It for sure gets me drunk. I have not even had a full bottle of wine.
But I feel good. Elbow good? Hand good? Are we all intact? You good?
Yeah, we're good.
You just stared at me like... Oh my god, have you seen Mean Girls, the musical?
No.
You need to find it and look up... Have you seen Mean Girls, the movie?
Yeah.
You know how Karen's really dumb?
I love Karen.
Me too. You should go watch her scenes, particularly while you're drunk. You gave me her look from that musical. She's just like... By the way, if you go to YouTube and you look up, you should search for Mean Girls slime tutorial. You'll find the full Mean Girls musical. Like, if you do any musical slime tutorial, you'll find it.
Interesting. Yeah, I am definitely Karen.
Yeah,
from Mean Girls.
She has the simplest tunes, and then she like goes to belt something, and she's like this, and she just stops, and she's like, "That's it," and walks away.
Yep. I apparently need to watch this because I have always been like, out of everyone in Mean Girls, I am Karen, and that sounds very accurate.
I spilled it
again. Blasphemous. Okay, no, we're gonna
the Mean Girls, which is fine.
It's not blasphemous as long as you make it an offering to our Lord and Savior Dionysus. That's what you gotta do.
Pour one out for my homies?
Yeah, you spilled some. You need to say a prayer to our Lord and Savior King Dionysus.
I think that goes against my Catholic beliefs.
I mean, I think both would be okay with it. It's Dionysus. He's the god of religious ecstasy. Come on now.
You know, named after him, so I think that's enough on my end.
See, just say this one's for you, my dude. Good to go.
Moving on.
Anyways, back to Phantom, not about my episode in March. All right.
I'm sorry. It's been a really shitty week. Even like good things happen, but like this is as good as I felt all week, and it's just really hitting me. I'm gonna start singing 6 next if we don't keep going because it's in my head. Backdoor lover. March is gonna be so much fun. Have I mentioned how much I love alcohol?
Have I mentioned my laugh before? It's going to happen.
Okay, alright.
Quit fanning yourself. You're not having a hot flash. You're too
I'm
young.
flushed! Let me fan myself! Okay, hold on. Hold on. Wait. Cool, I know where I was at. Alright, let's do this.
I'm like, I can't look at you. I'm gonna laugh again. Alright.
I'm just gonna go over your laughter, because, like, I can hold it together right now. Alright, so anyway, the Persian and Raoul. Pretty boy Raoul.
They're running through the forest, scooping up sewer rats.
Popping them on the head?
Yeah, totally what happened.
I'm so sad. Anyway, they make it down, and they find the Phantom's house, which is on an underground lake. But they don't actually, they don't actually know that it's the house. They essentially found a wall, and the Persian is like, I totally think this is the house. And so they, like, climb up onto the roof or whatever so that they can drop into it. So they drop into
Wait, hold on. Time out. Hasn't the Persian been here before?
So they went to different ways. So the Persian always came from the outside in. They came from the opera house down, like through the mirror. So like it's a kind of a different way. He just was able to get around tracks and stuff because he knows the Phantom psyche so well. He was like, this is how this works.
That's like saying I know how to get to your house through the highway, but I don't know if it's the same house because I went the back way, not the highway.
I'm gonna blame Ralph. This feels like Ralph's fault.
This is what he gets for being a Ken doll.
Anyway, so they drop into a room, and it's kind of the Phantom's house. Like, it actually is. It's a room from the Phantom's house, only it's a torture chamber. So, it's a room...
lover. Anyways.
It's a room with 6 corners, and the walls are mirrors. And in one corner is an iron tree, a lifelike iron tree. And this tree is being reflected across these mirrors to make it look like a forest. I believe there's also mirrors on the ground, by the way, but I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, it really drives that whole like creepy mirror tunnel maze thing in carnivals, which I absolutely hate because of this.
They say it's based off of those. What they say is that this is the first one ever made. The Phantom made the idea, and then it spread.
I don't like them because of this.
So it's a torture chamber because it's meant to be a psychological torture, kind of like water torture, where it would drops of water drop on your forehead, not in a pattern, which drives you crazy. So it's kind of like you think you know, it messes with your brain. You think you know how big the room is, but you don't because the mirrors were reflecting everything, and apparently it's enough to drive somebody crazy. There's also a story, evidence that people have been in here before. So
yes.
It has tortured people.
Yes.
There's more to this room, but we'll get there in a moment. So Anyway, they're in this room and they're like, what the fuck is going on? When they hear the Phantom's voice through the wall. And they hear him, I don't, the fuck did I write? What is that word?
I don't know. I can't read it. It's blurry.
Anyway, I can tell you what it is. I know what it is. I don't know what my words are. But anyway, so they hear the Phantom essentially tell Christine, you will marry me or we'll all die. That's what he essentially says. And she's like really sad. They hear her like moans is what they hear. The word moans, terrible word. And then
It's a really terrible word.
Raoul, with his continued impulse problems, wants to like barrel through the wall and start like pounding on it and shouting at the Phantom. But instead, the Persian holds him back and is like, dude, don't do that. That's a terrible idea.
My Kindle.
You find out that the Phantom leaves to go do something. There's actually, weirdly enough, a doorbell that goes off. And the Phantom's like, oh my god, somebody's visiting, and he leaves. And
it's the pizza delivery guy.
He gets deliveries. You never find out who this person is, and literally the Persian goes, I wonder who visits the Phantom.
It's the rat catcher.
The Persian visited. Anyway, so once the Phantom is out of the room, by the way, the Persian and the Phantom can't find a door in these mirrors. So they call to Christine.
You mean the Persian and Raoul, not
Persian and
you said the Persian and the Phantom. You said the
sorry, I just said Persian and the Raoul too. Oh, we are so close. All right. Anyway, I'm sorry. The Persian and Raoul call to Christine and are like, dude, we're over here. We're here to save you, but you need to let us out of this room. We can't find the door. And Christine's like, I can't. I'm tied to the wall. And Raoul's like, why are you tied to the wall? Didn't he let you come and go freely? And she's like, yeah, he totally did. But then I tried to kill myself. How did you try to kill yourself? By smashing my face into the wall.
I don't know why it's funny.
It's funny because it's stupid. It's a house on a lake. If you want to kill yourself, go drown yourself.
What is that picture I shared to the TNT group? And it was like, puzzle I've created. Oh, there's, they'll never figure it out. It's like the barbarian just bashing his way through solid stone.
I have to put that in there because I was like, this seems like a bad plan. That's not going to work. So she's bloody. So anyway, so she's like, they come up with a plan. She's going to convince the Phantom to untie her. She knows where the keys are. They're in his bag. So once she's untied, she's going to get the keys and sneak them over and I guess open the door at some point in time.
How is she going to sneakily get it out of his bag?
Well, we'll talk about that. So the Phantom comes back and she's like, you must untie me. And he's like, you're gonna kill yourself. And she goes, no, I promised you I would live until 11 p.m. tomorrow night. So I won't do anything. So it turns out there's a deal. By 11 p.m. the next day, she was supposed to tell the Phantom whether or not that she was going to marry him and then die together. At least that's what it sounds like at this moment. We'll get there. So anyway, he's like, you're right, and you're such a good girl. You are a woman of your word. I'll let you go. So he unties her, and he goes to his little workshop. Granted, we're reading this through Raoul or through the Persian's eyes, so we can't see this happening, but they're describing what they're hearing. So apparently the Phantom goes over and starts playing music and singing. She sneaks over to where his bag is and goes to steal the keys. And then the Phantom sees her and freaks out and says, what are you doing with my bag? So she takes the bag and runs. Don't know where she's going to go. he chases her. There's this moment of, give me my bag. No, I'm not doing anything wrong. Give me my bag. No. And then he gets it. And he's like, why are you trying to steal my bag? And she's like, I wasn't trying to steal your bag. He's like, you totally were trying to steal my bag. And he's like, and she's like, I mean, I wasn't. And then he hears Rao or the Persian, one of them, make a noise. And he's like, someone else is in here. And she's like, nobody else is in here, I promise. And he's like, I totally heard something from the torture chamber. And she's like, torture chamber? You have a torture chamber? I didn't know you had a torture chamber. Tell me more. And he's like, and he goes, no, seriously, there's a torture chamber. It's over there, and there are people in it. Watch this. I'm going to shut off all of the lights, which will allow the light into the torture chamber to shine through this window, and you'll be able to, I guess, see a silhouette. It was not super clear. And she's like, no, I'm afraid of the dark. Don't do that. And he's like, bitch. And he does it anyway. and so he can easily see that. I actually think that the mirrors, you could kind of see through them if there was light on the other side. I think that's what it was. But anyway, so he, like, there are people in there.
Mirror.
So he,
two-way mirror? What is it? Well, like a two-way mirror, one-way mirror, two-way mirror? Whatever it is, where like they can see it.
Two-way mirror?
Yeah. That thing.
Something like that. So anyway, he, from the Persian's point of view, suddenly it starts to get hot in the torture chamber. And it turns out that there's an electrical heating system in that torture chamber. It doesn't get hot like an oven, but it gets hot like summer in St. Louis.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
Pretty much. And according to the Persian, he hears the sound of a body hitting the ground and being dragged away. So all we can assume is that the fans then knocked Christina and dragged her away. Insane.
I mean, makes sense to me. Sounds legit. Continue.
Yeah. So the Persian and Raul are trapped in this torture chamber for, I'm assuming, a fucking day. So there's a lot of time spent describing the effects, what's going on. They're trying to find a way out. They can't find a way out. They're thirsty. That's their biggest thing. And then the Persian's like, no, there's got to be a trap door because he's the trap door lover. And he does eventually find a trap door in the floor. It pulls away, and they're all like, oh my god, cool air. Is there water? No, it's stairs. So they go down the stairs into a room.
It's a house on the lake. Of course there's water. You're like, not stairs.
Yeah. And I mean, that's literally how it goes. They're like, oh, cool air. I hope there's water. No. And then they go down the stairs, and they find this room filled with barrels. And their first thought is, again, water, wine. Because remember, they've been trapped in this room for a while. No.
It's gasoline. No, nitroglycerin. That's what it was in Atlantis. Nitroglycerin.
Gunpowder.
I was close. I was close. Wait. Was he trying to blow up the opera house in, like, Guy Fawkes style blowing up Parliament?
We'll get there.
So, I'm too drunk for this. Anyway, continue.
They get to this room. Somehow they know that Christine's on the other side of the wall. I think they hear the Phantom or whatever. Yeah, I think they hear the Phantom. And the Phantom's like, it's 5 minutes until 11 p.m. So that's how we know it's the next day. Because she said earlier that she was, not going to die until 11 p.m. So the Phantom has Christine in this room. And in this room on the mantle, there's 2 boxes, which he gives her a key for. And in one box is a Japanese bronze statue of a scorpion. And the other box is a Japanese bronze statue of a grasshopper. And he tells her that if she turns the scorpion, that means that she agrees to marry him. If she turns the grasshopper, that means she does not want to marry him. and he gives her no.
This is some convoluted way to say yes or no.
Dude,
I'd just like to point that out.
Everything the Phantom does is convoluted. But anyway.
True. But this is like next level.
Right. So the Persian and Raoul, they hear this through the fucking paper-thin brick cellar walls, and and they make the connection that the Phantom plans to blow up the Opera House, and they assume that if she denies his marriage proposal, that he's going to kill everyone. So she needs to make the right choice.
We went from point A to point D. Marry me or no, gunpowder blow up the Opera House. What?
This was the plan all along. He was going to kill everybody if Christine denied him. Yeah.
How did they do?
But he wanted her to make the choice. He wanted her to make the choice on her own, which is why he did not give her any further details. He just said, turn one of the statues, which will give him the answer. But Raoul and the
so
Persian,
dramatic.
Yeah, but Raoul and the Persian found out, like, put the pieces together and realized if she turned the wrong statue, it's going to blow everything up. So she's like,
let's be real, it was Persian, not Raoul.
What?
I said, let's be real, it's the Persian, not Raoul.
But true. Raoul's not useful. So they're like, Christine, you have to turn the scorpion. And then like, wait a minute, it's just like the Phantom to make it like some sort of romantic death where she says yes and everything blows up. So they're kind of frozen with, what do we do? Is it a trick? And if she says yes, it blows everything up. Or if she says no, does it blow everything up? So they're thinking about this, and the Phantom's getting really impatient from another room that he's in. He's like, I'm going to give her 2 minutes past 11. If she doesn't say anything, I'm going to blow us all up. So
like, either way, he was planning to blow up the house.
So she calls to the Phantom and asks for assurance that if she... Bless you. So she calls out to the Phantom and asks for assurance that if she turns the scorpion, everything will be fine. And he's like, of course. So she turns the scorpion and says yes to marry Eric, the Phantom of the Opera. And everyone waits to see if they're all going to die in a fiery explosion. But instead, the ground beneath Raoul and the Persian cracks and water starts to spill in. And the purpose of this water is to wash away the gunpowder into the lake. So it's no longer going to explode. So she saved everyone. However, Raoul and the Persian are stuck in this room and it starts to fill up with water. And they're going to drown. But Christine... What? Well, they do specifically say there's so much water it could overtake the house, so it could probably there's nowhere to go. So they're going to drown, and Christine. How do I want to say this? Yeah, I guess I'll give it away.
So what does she do?
Christine begs the Phantom to save Raoul and the Persian, and he does. And he does it as a favor to her. So the Persian and Raoul pass out, and the Persian wakes up in his house, being nursed by somebody else, and he's like, the fuck just happened? Yep.
How does the Phantom know where he lives?
They're friends. They've been visiting each other. 2 seconds. I have to pee.
2 minutes and 3 seconds.
sorry. That's a lot of liquid. All right. So you asked, how does the Phantom know where the Persian lives?
Yes, like
I think they're friends, and I think the Phantom would come visit the Persian the same way that the Persian would come visit the Phantom.
But I thought that he like never left the opera house.
Nah, I think he did. And just
Like that's why he has a doorbell so he can get his, groceries delivered.
Amazon deliveries. Yep. Yep. He's an avid user of Amazon.
Or what's the curbside whatever where they deliver your groceries for you? Whatever.
Everywhere does that, but I don't know the specific service.
He just goes online to Aldi's and hits. That's German. What's the French grocery
delivered?
No, he's fancy.
So anyway, the Persian wakes up in his own home after several days. So he actually woke up after being rescued, and he was like, "Why?" And the Phantom was like, "It's a favor to my wife." And the Persian
saved your life previously.
So the Persian passes back out, wakes up in his home. He's being nursed by somebody. And he's like, oh my God, where's Raul and Christine? He tries to go to the police. They don't believe him. So I don't know how much time passed. That's the thing. We don't know how much time passed. But we do find out that Raul's brother, the Count, I guess, is dead.
Philippe?
He went... Actually, let me backstep. So the Persian's in his house, and he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Raul and Christine are still missing when there's a knock on his door, and he answers it, and it's the Phantom of the Opera. This is why I say, so like, right, so this is why I say, like, I actually preferred the ending of the book, but not like the very ending, because I think the torture chamber and the barrels of gunpowder are more interesting, right?
It is. It is so much better. Like, it is so, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? It's that whole mystery aspect to it that you're missing for the whole rest of the movie novel thing.
Right.
Like, yeah, I am very disappointed in people who did not like the ending of Phantom of the Opera and therefore required them to change it and subsequently change it for every fucking reiteration of it.
Yeah, so I think it's this last chapter. That's what everyone was stuck on. So like you get this really cool moment, and then it built up very well because Gaston Leroux did a great job of doing this, and then you wake up in the Persian's house and everything just sort of slammed to a halt, right? Like we hit a brick wall. So anyway, so Persian opens the door and it's the Phantom. And the Phantom is like holding on to the door, gasping for breath. He's like, I'm dying. And the Persian is like, okay, cool, where's Christine and Raul? And the Phantom's like, but you don't understand, I'm dying. And he's like, yeah, where are the kids? And the Phantom's like, I'm dying of love.
So bleed on the carpet. Move over.
While the Phantom is dying, he sits down and has a conversation with the Persian. We find out that the Persian asks him questions. The Persian says, did you kill Raul's brother? Because it was found in the paper that Raul's brother, Philippe, thought that Raul was being super fucking crazy by chasing after Christine into this chamber with an angel of music. So he went to find him. He went to find Raul in the caverns, and then he was found dead floating in the lake. So the Persian is like, did you kill Philippe? Huh?
Philippe is the only sane person in this entire story. I'm just saying.
So he's like, did you kill Philippe? And the fan is like, no, honest, I swear, I found him that way. Yeah. I'm killing you again. We're almost done. You can make it.
I'm sorry, I don't know why it was so funny.
What? love that I'm so entertaining to drunk you. So, Joey's dead. That makes Raoul the new count or whatever. I don't know if I think V comp is like an undercount. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, moving on. So Raoul has inherited. What? What?
Levels of comp. Levels of comps.
All right.
Levels of.
The ADD is getting you.
I'm just looking it up for future reference. Like, we just need to know. I just want to know what the difference is. Viscount is ranked below Duke, Marquis, and Earl, but above a Baron. What the fuck does that mean? This
so
title had
the Vicomte de Chagny, but they call Philippe something else. And I think it's just straight count, but I can't remember. Anyway.
It's the same thing as a deputy or lieutenant of a count. So it's like a vice.
He's the younger brother. So yeah. So anyway.
That's why it's called a vicomte.
That makes Raoul the new count. So they keep talking, and it is a really difficult discussion to read because the Phantom, there's like a ton of ellipses in this because the Phantom's like, I'm dying. And you're trying to get the story. The Persian asks several times, what the fuck is Christine and Raoul? And essentially what happened was after he rescued the Persian, he went back and he couldn't take Raoul home because weight restrictions is what it sounded like. So instead he kept him prisoner.
We called him that! Oh my god!
Oh
no! It's all that plastic in his brain.
So he kept Raoul prisoner. And when he locked Raoul up and he came back to Christine, she's sitting somewhere. And like I want to say on the bed, doesn't sound right. And she's like looking straight at him. She's not looking like she's afraid. She's not recoiling. She has accepted her fate as his wife. That was what she gave to save everybody. And so he comes up to her and he goes to kiss her on the forehead and she doesn't recoil. And this fucking breaks him. Like, this is the last straw. Because he's never had anybody in his entire life not recoil from him. And they talk about how his mother... What?
He got everything he wanted and just could not compute.
Kind of, it feels very Dr. Horrible to me.
Oh, we love Dr. Horrible though.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it breaks him, and he's because he explains that his mother never gave him love or let him kiss her, and Christine was just fine. And he said up until that moment, he always considered Christine his dead bride because in his head they were going to die together. Whether it was by the gunpowder or something else, they were probably going to die together. But as soon as that happened, he started to look at her as his living bride, and that like changed everything in his mind, and he could not hurt her by separating her from the person that she loved. So he goes and he gets Raoul and he takes them and puts them together and he releases them. And she's like very happy and thankful, and he gives her back the gold ring that she had lost because he found it. He's like, consider this a wedding present to you. And he releases them. The end.
So wait, he had the ring the whole fucking time?
After he lost it, he totally had it. And essentially, Raoul and Christine run away together and get married and live happily ever after. But, I mean, the book kind of just ends. So.
Yeah. Yeah, he dies of like a broken heart or something. They make it this big epic duel in the movies because in the silent film, they were going to do this ending and audiences didn't like it. They did not like
I mean,
this, so that's why they changed it to the duel, and it's been that way ever
to
since.
be fair, it would not translate to a very good movie ending. It's just so anticlimactic. But so
time. What are you talking about?
what? No, I'm talking about this last chapter, not like the gunpowder chapter, but this last moment, this chapter wouldn't translate.
They do this all the time in movies, though.
And
All
most of
the
the time, you're
time.
like, what the hell? This is horrible.
Like, what was it?
So,
Like the one story where
finish up the
broke
musical.
Wayne.
We finished up the book. Let's finish up the musical. How does it differ? So the musical, like I said before, the mob comes rushing down after the chandelier crash, and the entire Paris Opera House is set on fire. And the mob goes down, but for some reason, only Raoul makes it down. It's just kind of how it happens. I think he just got there first.
He went left. They went right. You know.
Cool. So he chose the right way. So
yeah.
He goes down. The Phantom captures him with a lasso because in the musical he uses a lasso, like a noose. They call it a lasso or lasso. And he strangles people.
Whole scene in the musical is ridiculous.
So there's this running theme in the musical about keeping your hand the level of your eye. And you do that because when someone throws a noose over your head, you can use your hand to stop it from like strangling you. And that's exactly what happens. So Meg in the movie, Christine's friend, is with Raoul leading him down, and she's like, remember, keep your hand to the level of your eye. And then Raoul goes ahead, and she stops people from going too far after him. But anyway, so he goes down there, and he's surprised by the Phantom. The Phantom throws a noose over his head, but he had his hand at the level of his eye, and essentially catches the noose. But it's still kind of strangling him. And he's like, pulled against this grating, and there's this beautiful singing happening where Raoul is singing and the Phantom is singing, and essentially the Phantom is like, Christine, say that you love me and I'll let Raoul live. And Raoul's like, why make her lie to you to save me? And I'm all over here in the audience going, it's just a little white lie. Like, if it saves a life, isn't it worth it? But sure, to each his own. Go off, I guess. So Christine, like, this is the moment Christine, who is dressed in the wedding dress that the Phantom had picked out for her, this is the moment where Christine wakes up from her trance and she looks at the Phantom and she's like, I totally thought you were an angel, but you're not. You're an awful person. And then it transpires a little bit more, and she's like, I pity you so much. And she goes up to him and she kisses him on the lips. And there's silence because, like, that's when the music cuts out. And then the Phantom starts crying, and he realizes that, I guess it breaks him. He realizes that, like, this is the first time I've shown affection. He's just like, go, get out of here. I can't handle this. This is too sweet. So Raoul and Christine run away, and the Phantom's like, ah, and that's pretty much the end. I mean, the mob kind of burns the rest of the shit down and disappears, but that's kind of the end of the movie. Slash musical.
They had like a duel. Raoul Phantom like duel or some shit. So I don't remember when it is.
Graveyard earlier.
Oh, okay. See, I know there was a graveyard scene. I knew there was a graveyard scene.
That's the song I hate.
I knew it.
Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again.
Wishing you were somehow here again.
But in the movie, the Phantom has the best sword because the hilt is a skull.
That's where they took the skull that he should have been wearing in his red death costume and put it on the sword.
So, ladies and gents, that is a drunken version of Phantom of the Opera Part 2. Because the first time we had Inky do High on Benadryl and me having massive anxiety attacks, which is why I was so frantic trying to talk my way through the first half of the book. Now you have drunk us making our way through the second half of the book because it's been a fucking hell of a day. Let's be real. We've been having
shitty.
It has. But you know what? we came, we drank, and we did it, and that's what matters. And we had a good fucking time.
We came, we saw, we conquered.
What'd you say?
We came, we saw, we conquered.
We came, we saw, we drank liquor.
Yes, that.
And I have cake left.
It's interesting.
What?
You have cake left. I don't have cake. Get that cake out of here! Screw you! Share. I mean, to be fair, I did have macaroons, so it's okay.
That was totally unfair. Anyway.
Yeah.
That is literally all I have for Phantom. My main point, which I didn't write down, but I should have. My main point is that we look at Phantom of the Opera as a sort of wholesome love story where we are meant to feel pity for the Phantom, and we're meant to want the Phantom to win because Ral is such a doorknob. But in reality, when we look at the book, the Phantom, though he is pitiful, he's a monster. He murdered people, potentially raped them. I'm going to keep that out there. He tortured this poor girl. He played with her head. He just was the worst person you can think of and should not be romanticized. But Andrew Lloyd Webber got it in his head that he was the Phantom, and his at the time wife and or I should say girlfriend and or wife, I don't know which one it is, Sarah Brightman was Christine, and he wrote a love story for her. And I love the Phantom of the Opera musical, and when you look at it in that context, it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But the Phantom of the Opera is not romantic. And Ral is forever adorable.
No, it's not. He's Ken. His head is full of plastic.
Do we have a song? We need a song all about Ken's head being full of plastic. If I could write music,
We
I
do.
would totally write it. So, and this is why, I should say, this is why Enkidu hates the Phantom of the Opera so much, because they romanticize it. It is a Harley Quinn Joker situation.
It is 100%. This makes me really want to go. I own the book The Hunchback of Notre Dame, but I've never actually read it. This really makes me, because I made the connection last episode, that they have a very similar thing. It makes me want to read it and see if it's a very, like how similar it actually is, and that what we know, like pop culture wise, is a romanticized version of like what actually happens.
That could be one of your topics in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and then compare and contrast against the Disney movie. That could be your upcoming Disney month.
No, I want to do a different one.
Well, we get 2. A month is 4 weeks.
True.
See?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can do that. Man, that means I have to read it. Oh, I have so much to read.
And
so much to read. Yeah, I definitely was gone before we officially started recording. that was
still good. I'm in that good, like, buzz sort of starting to slur my S's. I can kind of tell.
I don't know how I'm going to make it through March. It is...
It's alcohol-affected drug test, because I'm going tomorrow.
No, you should be fine. Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna make it through March. It's gonna be fun. I'm not.
It's gonna be amazing. But yeah, do you want to do an outro, or should I do an outro?
Oh, I mean, I can't. It doesn't matter.
2 hours and 24. I can do one. I can do it because you're talking next week, so I can do it.
Okay, go for it.
So that's all I have. I hope I hit all of my points in my drunken ramblings. 2.5 hours later. I hope you enjoyed this. It's been fun. tragic love story. And do you want to
Yeah.
No?
Oh, do I want to give hints? Oh, I can straight up tell you what it is. There's a delay between like our whatever.
So.
Yeah, because like I can hear myself sometimes after I've said something through your speed. Like it's this weird delay thing going on. So yeah, so next week I'm doing 3 Greek tragedies that I went along the lines of like Pandora's Box, since that seemed to be like people know the name, they know like a line that summarizes it, but they don't actually know the story. So the 3 stories I'm going to cover are Oedipus, Orpheus, and Narcissus. I feel like everyone
Complex.
I feel like everyone knows the names but doesn't actually know the stories, especially Oedipus, because I guarantee I mean, I don't know how much you know about Oedipus, but I guarantee you most people don't actually know the story of Oedipus. They
I
just
was
know
a psychology major before I switched to a fine arts major, so that's what I know about Oedipus.
so fuck Freud, just saying that right now. And you will, if all you know is Freud's Oedipus complex, you will be completely shocked when you hear this story. Absolutely shocked. Yes. I am here to tell you, it's kind of like the Napoleon complex where everyone's like, "Oh, it's because you're so short." And it's like, but
He
his
was of average height for the time period.
Exactly. Napoleon wasn't short. He was just really fucking young. He was like the youngest general. Historically, he's one of the youngest generals ever. And that is why. But everyone's like, oh no, it's because he was short. Thank you, whoever coined Napoleon complex. I'm going to assume it was Freud because I don't actually know.
Always Freud.
Exactly. But I'm like, that's kind of what it is with Oedipus. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's the guy who slept with his mom and then whatever. And it's like, that's not the story, though.
Well, so that's our not hint to next week.
Yeah, that's my straight up drunken rant about next week.
We will get into it next week. So tune in next time on our YouTube channel, which is Effed Up Fables. And check us out on Facebook, which is Effed Up
It's the
Fables.
same. Yeah, it's
And
the same as that F asterisk.
F asterisk Fables. And we have a really awesome Instagram that I forget constantly to take photos for.
You are not alone, so do I.
But yeah, so like, share, subscribe, comment down below whether you are for Raoul or Phantom, because we are battling this out. And we will see you next week.
Wait, does that mean that I'm Team Raoul? I want to be Team Persian.
Team Raoul. You are Team Pretty Boy.
I am though. I'm like, wait a second, but Team Persian, man, come on. Hashtag Team Philippe. He was the only one.
Hashtag Team Philippe. He's the only one making logical sense in this whole story to my drunken brain.
He's the only one.
Yep. All right, Team Philippe for you, and I'm Team Gerard Butler.